The next exercise is also the similar one, okay, but we'll be using one advanced option, okay. In that we'll be using two scripts, okay, you can say. So we'll be learning about actually user data, what is user data and what is metadata, okay. So if you see when we created the EC2 instance, okay, I'll keep it on, I'll create one more EC2 instance, okay. So everything is similar, only thing is will at the end in the advanced option will here pass on some scripts, okay. This script will be executed only once, okay. Just a minute. So here we'll be passing some scripts like installing something, and this will happen only once, not every time the VM is rebooted, only for the first time. If there is some error, it it will have to launch the instance again in order to check the demo for user data. Okay, so the user data is whatever script we pass on at the time of launching the instance, that is a user data. Okay, so in user data, what we are doing here is this if you do this curl, okay, so this is a kind of a metadata, getting the information of the any particular resource in a EC2 in a AWS, that is a metadata. So what we are doing here is we're getting some details of, we'll see that in demo. So let me log in. I already have the VM up, okay, so I'll log in as Ubuntu. So if I do curl, okay, so it's saying unauthorized, so I'll have to first invoke it as well. So what I'll do is I'll just copy this script. The now I'm running the script, okay. I'll explain that script. Cat user.sh, can give any name. So we are installing Apache, okay. Apache is one of the web server, and whatever we put inside index.html, it will be displayed on the screen, okay. So here what we are defining, we are taking one token, okay. So this token is, you can say, for kind of an authentication, okay. It gets the token and it authenticates, and it will give all the details like what is the availability zone, what is the public IP of the particular instance. So using this URL, when we authenticate with this token, we'll get all the details, okay. So I'll just run this bash user.sh, okay. So this runs, let me check with the root user. Okay, sudo, it's running. So it will install Apache.
Yeah, here in this case, Ubuntu is not an root user.
Ubuntu is normal user. It has some sudo level privileges. What is sudo and all we'll learn when we learn about Linux. Okay. So to run administrator level privileges, we'll have to add sudo to it. Ubuntu is not a root user. You're correct. Okay. So actually, I'll have to run this command one by one. So let me run this token equal to
Try sudo token.
No, it didn't run. Just a bit. And I don't know, it's in bracket if it needs. Yes, echo dollar token. Yeah, we got the token now. Okay, so we'll have to get the availability zone, we'll have to pass this token to the next command. So I need to show it on means manually, then it becomes easy to understand when we run it using the user script. Okay, now we'll get the actually it didn't show us the, where is the other one? Okay, if we use this command directly, so if you see it is giving the output. Okay, so if we stored one token, token is required, okay, to authenticate. Then after getting the token, I'm getting the availability zone. It is showing usage. It's not going to the next line, but here we get the availability zone. Okay. So this is the metadata, data about the EC2 instance. That's what we can get. Similarly, we'll get some other details, whatever defined in the script cat user.sh. So that logic is defined here. And then we also have the public IP. To get the public IP, just to curl this command. Okay, it is also giving us the public IP. Okay, so if we have this public IP for this, just access it. So we got it here. Let let's just do browse it, and it will show the details of the EC2 instance as well. So this is the, yeah. So again, why it's not working? Okay, so in security group we need to allow port number 80. So I purposely didn't allow it last time. So to allow it, we'll have to go to that particular instance. Okay, I went inside this instance. Okay, and just search for security tab. Okay, in security tab, this is the security group. This is one way. Other way would be to search directly the security group here, and we can go there. The best method is to go inside that VM instance, okay, and go to security group. In security group, inbound rule is port number 22 is only allowed. Okay, we didn't allow that time port number 80. Now I'll just add a rule to allow port number 80 as well. Okay, and allow it from everywhere. Okay, and just save the rules. Okay, so at the time of installation itself, we can check on port number 22, port 80, and port 443. That we didn't do that. So if you forget it, then we can go to security groups. Okay, and then we should know on which security group it for which instance. That's why I went via particular instance, and then I just edited the inbound rules to allow port 80. Okay, now if I refresh it, Okay, it is giving all the data, public IP, availability zone, and the instance ID. So instead of this metadata, we can also get some what we can say uh, public website also we can store. So we'll be having one more exercise for that as well. So this we did manually. Okay, so the script which which this option is giving, means the output is giving, we are running it manually. I ran this script manually. I installed Apache. Okay, I provided the token and I'm getting the metadata. So data about the data is called as metadata, and that here in this case the data is EC2 instance. So all the details of EC2 instance it is giving. Okay, so now we'll do this exercise on a new EC2 instance. Okay, so, and I'll keep it running. Why, I'll tell you. We'll need that later on. Okay, so we are doing this exercise number 2.2, EC2 user data and metadata. Okay, so user data and metadata. Metadata is data about the EC2 instance, that is metadata. We are getting it using this. Okay, so this IP will always give some metadata. Okay, you can say this is a IP of a AWS managed internally, and user data is whatever script we provide in the advanced setting at the end of the EC2 instance configuration, that is a user data. So if you see here at the end I'm providing this script. So let's quickly launch this instance. We are doing exercise number 2.2. I'm giving the name my web server. Okay, launch instance. Here I'll give the name my web server. Okay, click on Ubuntu. Okay, sometimes the demo and the exercise may vary. Okay, so to teach some other concept, I'll just slightly modify the exercise. Okay, so here, okay, I'm choosing Ubuntu server 22. Okay, instance type is T2 micro, free tier eligible. Okay, what I'll do is I'll not use my key pair one. I'll create one more. Okay, so I'll create one more key pair. Okay, and in this case I'll use PEM. So I want to also show how to access it from other VM, other Linux VM. Okay, so that's why instead of PPK I'm using .pem. Okay, so I'll just write my key pair 2, and it is having an extension is important .pem, and just click on create key pair. Okay, now again I'm downloading it is having an extension .pem, useful for OpenSSH. Okay, not for putty. OpenSSH means for Linux machines. I can use an existing security group. Okay, from here, the one which was used for launch wizard, or I can create the new as well. Okay, I'll create a new. Okay, in this case I'm not clicking on edit. When we click on edit, we can check the network, subnet, whatever we want. But here I'm using all the default options. The only thing is, instead of going to this particular security group and adding the rule, we can also do, or at least for SSH, HTTP and HTTPS at the time of installation itself. Okay, so I'm allowing SSH from everywhere. I'll opening the port 80 and 443. Okay, this I can keep at 30 and go to advanced details. In advanced, just go at the end. Okay, at the end, where is the script? You'll get it in the, okay, you can just copy it from here and add this script here. You can add any script here. Okay, so in this case we are getting the metadata of the instance. That's why we added here, and just click on launch instance. Just let's check if everything is okay. I click on launch instance. Okay, so previous modification was I didn't choose port number, so I had to go to the particular security group and add the groups. In this case I added the security group at the time of installation, provisioning of the VM itself. Okay, here I'm using other key pair, not the .ppk. And when your exercise is done, delete the instances, okay? Otherwise unnecessarily it will be on and you may exceed the 750 hours limit per month. So I think it's almost ready. Okay. It will be completely ready when it does some internal checks and all, but still I can access it. So now to access it, I cannot use the key pair which I used earlier. That is key pair 1. Okay. For putty, it will not work. From here, the putty session, if I add it from here, I redirect it to that private key, it won't work. Okay, so what I'll have to do is I'll go to any other Linux machine. So I'll consider the previous machine itself as the Linux. It is a Linux machine, but this is the IP address. Okay, now if I do try to do SSH, okay, it is allowing me the SSH. Okay, but it will say permission denied. Okay, because in that machine the public key is there and the private key is with us. The private key is this one, this mykeypair.2. So go to that folder and open it .pem. Okay, so either you have to copy this, means move this file to this Linux machine, or the other method would be open with, I'll open with notepad. Okay, you can copy this key, just copy this private key, go to the other Linux VM. Okay, I can give it name any key.pem. Just copy it with cat command, just control D to save it. Okay, so we haven't learned about Linux, but for the time being, just remember using cat like this. You can create a file, and to save it, just use control D, then do cat key.pem. Okay, so the file is created. This key we need to use for SSHing into the other VM. Now I'll to use it, I'll have to say hyphen I, and remember this is a private key, key.pem, and press enter. Okay, again it is giving error. Okay, unprotected private key file. Okay, so it has some bad permissions. Okay, so if you do ls hyphen lt key.pem, so don't worry if you do not know Linux for the time being. Okay, we'll be covering everything, these commands and all in the Linux. So it is having world writable, you can say, permissions. So just make it chmod 400 key.pem. Okay, now if I do ssh, so if only read permission is given here to it, that is also to owner. Now if I do ssh, it should work. Okay, so we are on other VM now, 172.16.235. Okay, 235, this is the other VM. This is the method we use to connect other Linux machine from the Linux machine. Okay, earlier we used the putty method. For that we need ppk file. For connecting Linux to Linux we'll need .pem file. Okay, now we created the user data script, we added the user data script. So if everything went well, if it install everything properly, it should display it on the screen. Okay, so if you see, it is also giving the same data. But for this I didn't have to log in and install the script. Okay, it was done at the time of installation. But now if I reboot the instance, it will not again try to install that script. It will be done only once. Okay, first time when we provision the instance. So that was all about this particular exercise. If you have any question, let